Hello, I'm Marcus Boss. I'm a birth injury lawyer with years of experience helping families understand how decisions during labor can impact their baby's health. Today, I want to talk with you about prolonged labor, specifically during term births, and how it can sometimes lead to serious outcomes like hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy or HIE, which is a type of traumatic brain injury. Prolonged labor is one of those topics that doesn't always get the attention that it deserves, but understanding what should happen during labor can help you determine if your baby's injury, if it was possibly preventable. So first, let's start with talking about what is prolonged labor. Simply put, it means that the labor process takes longer than expected. And for a term pregnancy, this can mean hours of delayed progression, especially during the active labor stage, the stage where the cervix is dilating and the baby is moving into position for birth. Prolonged labor can happen for a variety of reasons, like weak contractions or the baby being in an awkward position. But here's the critical point for this. During prolonged labor, a baby's oxygen supply, it can become compressed or compromised. And when that happens, the risk of HIE, it increases. This is why labor requires constant monitoring and prompt medical decisions. Now let's talk about medical standards. Medical professionals are trained to identify and manage a prolonged labor. This includes monitoring contractions and the baby's heart rate and how labor is progressing overall. If there are signs such as distress, which is, could be a sudden drop in the baby's heart rate or evidence that the labor isn't progressing safely, doctors are supposed to intervene. This might mean administering certain types of medications to help with contractions or deciding that an emergency C-section is the safest option. The key is timing, and in many cases, when doctors delay these decisions, the risk of oxygen deprivation, it increases. Unfortunately, I have spoken to many mothers who have described to me waiting for hours in active labor while their baby's heart rate is showing signs of distress. Sometimes the medical team, for whatever reason, they either missed the signs or they ignored the warning signs or they delayed performing a necessary C-section. And the consequences when something like this can be devastating. Oxygen deprivation, remember, can lead to a brain injury like HIE. I want to take this moment to say this also. If your baby has been diagnosed with HIE and you were in prolonged labor, it's not your fault. It's natural to have questions, and you have every right to ask whether something else could have been done differently to help you and your baby. So how does prolonged labor, how does this contribute to an HIE diagnosis? Well, it's like this. The longer the labor goes, the longer that it takes, the greater chance it is that the baby's oxygen levels will begin to drop. This can happen when the uterus becomes overstimulated, if you have too many contractions over a given amount of time, or your baby is not tolerating the labor well. Think of it this way. Labor is supposed to be a steady process, and when it drags on for too long, the stress on both mother and baby, it begins to increase. If doctors fail to respond appropriately to that stress, the baby can suffer a brain injury like HIE. So if you're watching this and you're wondering if a prolonged labor played a role in your baby's HIE brain injury, it's important to start looking for answers. And one of the best places to find these answers or to start is with the medical records. These records can show whether there were warning signs and if those signs were missed or if interventions were delayed. Here at my law firm, Boston Law Group LLC, we carefully review these cases, examining the decisions that were made during labor and to be able to determine whether negligence was involved. And let me say this, many families are hesitant to reach out with this type of stuff because they are worried about the initial cost. What is it going to cost? I want to let you know that when we are investigating these cases initially, that there is not going to be a charge to you or your family. Other firms may handle this part differently with the investigation. They may charge you initially for that investigation, but here at my firm, this is something that we think that you should not have the burden to have to worry about. Prolonged labor isn't just a medical term, it's something that can have real lasting impact on a baby's health and a family's future. And if your baby has been diagnosed with HIE after a term birth and you suspect that something went wrong, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Again, I'm Marcus Boston. And like I said, if you have any other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury from a medical legal standpoint, you can reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me and my profile, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for this morning's quick educational video. Have a great morning, everybody.